What's up guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here then welcome to our little corner of the internet. Today we're going to be watching a video titled Great Urbanism Can Be Affordable, 10 Underrated Cities. Which, can it be affordable? I mean, imagine living in New York City or something. The only way I can think about that being affordable is if you rent like a balcony or something, because it's expensive, okay? But I'm not judging. Let's see what this video is about.
Conventional wisdom is cities that are walkable, bikeable, and have great transit are not affordable places to live, and the places that are affordable are the opposite of all those things. Well, today I'm going to show you 10 cities that defy that conventional wisdom. It's America's 10 Most Undervalued Cities, 2024 edition, coming up next. This is City Nerd, weekly content on cities and transportation. Viewer-suggested topics always welcome, and today I'm answering the question people always ask, which is basically, where exactly are the hidden gems of urbanism? And I really love this list I put together. It's a geographically diverse group of super interesting cities, and they're all places I've either thought about moving to or I am now. And let's get right to the methodology. I want you to know what I considered so you can make your own mental adjustments. First of all, threshold for inclusion on—
Wow, that looks beautiful. The way that the building goes round by the train. I wonder if the train came first or the building.
The list. These are going to be core cities of metro areas that are
Probably the train.
500,000 population or higher. A bit arbitrary, but I don't want to end up with a list of annoying college towns because I already made that video. This will be something of an update and a variation on a video I did a couple years ago about undervalued cities, so I will highlight the differences in the methodology. For transit, it's similar. I wanted a measure of service provision per capita, so I used vehicle revenue hours from the National Transit Database, weighted by mode, aggregated by urbanized area, and divided by urbanized area population. One important difference though, I used pre-pandemic data last time, but for this one I'm using the most recent 12 months, so May 2023 through April 2024. And I normalized this number into a score from 0 to 200, with New York being 200 and every other city being far, far behind. So as a practical matter, it's basically a scale of 1 to 100 for every other city. Second, walkability, which to me means accessibility to a diversity of destinations, including for people using mobility devices. I'm using Walk Score, which does integrate both a network piece and accounts for diversity of destinations, using a 100-point scale, and many of these scores have been updated in the last 2 years. Biking, new metric alert. Walk Score is cool, and I think Bike Score is fine, but just a bit redundant if I'm combining both of them into my analysis. So I'm using the People for Bikes 2023 city ratings, which includes a bicycle network analysis based on the Mineta Institute's level of traffic stress model, which was—
How many of you guys ride bikes? I think the last time I rode a bike was when I was like 7 years old, probably.
considered state of the practice when I was a consultant. I'll leave a link in the description, but essentially they score cities from 1 to 100, but I gave this 50% the weight of Walk Score since walking is pretty universal, and while I personally think biking and micromobility are critical to a great urban environment, I know it's not everyone's thing. And that's really it. Those 3 measures cover what I think is the core question. Is it safe, comfortable, and convenient to live a high quality of life without a car in a great city? If you want to add your own adjustments for things like crime or school test scores or, I don't know, quality of regional cuisine, you're free to do so, but those things are pretty fraught and subjective, so handle with care. Okay, so combining those 3 measures generates an urbanism score that could max out at 350 points. In practice though, New York is the only city that comes anywhere near that number, and New York is not on today's list because what I'm doing is dividing the urbanism score by the dollar per square foot rent of the median apartment that was on the market in April 2024. As usual, I have to thank the fine folks at Dwellsy for providing all that data, and I'll leave a link down in the description so you can go check them out. Note that last time I made a video like this, I used Zillow Home Value Index, but I really wanted to focus on renting this time because I assume the audience that's gonna act on the information in this video is probably mobile and not quite ready to buy yet.
Talking about rent, I saw a video not long ago of someone, they want to make it so that a person can only own one home in Spain, and that makes no sense to me. Like, what does that mean? You can have one property per person. How can you rent out properties then? Because I sure don't want to buy from here, probably. Like, I sure wouldn't want to buy. Well, I'm telling you, I'm dreaming big, guys, clearly, lately. I mean, I'm on that 100K YouTube high. I'm like, I wouldn't buy property here, as if. But, you know, like, what does that mean, though? In, like, if everyone has only one property where they can live, then renting would not be a thing, right? Would it? Because like, I don't know, it doesn't make sense. Or maybe it would be, but the government would rent out or something, I don't know. Or the banks. Is that a thing? I don't know.
Caveats, cities are very heterogeneous, so your results are going to vary depending on what neighborhood you choose. I have done a zip code version of this analysis if you're interested, but I think the list of cities I'm presenting here is a pretty good starting point. And finally, I'm not saying your city is bad or overvalued if it isn't on this list. I mean, if being in close proximity to spicy food, sunny weather, and extremely odd urban wildlife is a high priority for you, then Albuquerque is going to rate very highly on some list, but just not this one.
I would take that home. I don't know what it is, but I love it.
Okay, that was more than enough, so let's get into it. Number 10, let's just get this out of the way. It is Chicago. Number 1 when I did a similar list 2 years ago, but don't blame me. Blame the advocacy organization with the smiley bike logo, because their rating system absolutely hammers Chicago. Overall, they give it a 7 out of 100, ranked number 1,616 out of 1,733 cities in the database, ranked number 50 in the state of Illinois. Again, not my fault, I'm just the messenger. Or maybe it is my fault. In the 2 years since I told you Chicago was the most undervalued city in that earlier video, Zillow says the rent has increased more sharply in Chicago than it has in places like New York and San Francisco. So maybe I need to stop hyping Midwest cities. Anyway, relax. I think your takeaway should be, even though I used a different methodology in this video, and the smiley bike folks hate Chicago, it's still in the top 10. So whether or not it's one of America's most undervalued cities is not really debatable. Number 9, a city I've talked about very little on this channel.
Chicago looks so nice, but it does look like really busy. I don't know. I don't think I'm a city gal. I've said it before. I don't know. I don't know if I'm a city gal.
If at all. Dayton, Ohio. Honestly, all the performance measures are kind of middling, but remember, this is the US, so when it comes to urbanism, middling is good. And this city is extremely affordable. Median monthly rent is $1.10 a square foot, so you can get a lot of space for not much. Actually a pretty good downtown for a Midwestern US city of this size. Lots of stuff happening in the Oregon district day and night. It's not a place that's gonna clear out after 5 p.m. like some downtowns do. And the inner neighborhoods aren't especially dense, but there are beautiful grids with old shade trees and really fantastic old housing stock. Could I really live in Dayton? Well, for $1.10 a square foot, yeah, unquestionably. If you're wondering if these are all going to be Rust Belt cities, let's disabuse you of that right now because number 8 is Salt Lake City. Walk score rating, you might think 59, but that's in the top quintile for US cities, and that's impressive considering how infamously wide the streets in Salt Lake are, and how much further behind other Western US cities with this kind of street layout are. What might be underappreciated is just how much care the city puts into making the streets more walkable and bikeable. Here's an example, the intersection of 200 West and Broadway. These right-of-ways are insanely wide, and look what the city did with the cross-section. Protected bike lanes everywhere and a protected intersection. Any Sunbelt city could be retrofitting their stroads this way, but which ones are actually doing it? I've told you in previous videos that
these cities look just so massive compared to here. Oh my goodness.
The transit system punches way above its weight.
Huge.
Well, by my reckoning, SLC's transit provision per capita ranked 7th out of all US metro areas, but it only ranks number 46 in population. Not that inexpensive of a city, but for everything you get, it's pretty great. Number 7, any city that made the list 2 years ago and also this one is a pretty good bet, and Milwaukee, Wisconsin checks a lot of boxes. These scores aren't amazing, but they're very much above average, and this city is ridiculously affordable for what you're getting. Now, Milwaukee has some genuinely cool urbanism that...
Oh, Milwaukee? Looks kind of like, may I say it? Looks kind of like Finland. Just a little bit. Maybe not the bridge, though. The bridge doesn't really look like Finland. The houses do, though. The houses look a lot like Finland. Also, the little water thing. Interesting.
It's just an inherent part of being a core city that developed before the advent of the automobile. But I just want you to see this whole area behind Fiserv Forum where the Bucks play. These are all new streets. They've got like bioswales, cool ornamental lighting, street trees. They're calm, quiet, and comfortable. So it's not like cities don't know how to build the kind of
Looks very European.
streets where people actually enjoy spending time. They just maybe only do it in designated entertainment districts. Number 6, Minneapolis. I'm not going to go on at length about this one because I have city-specific videos that talk all about the Twin Cities. So instead I'm going to talk about what's at the heart of this video, which is why seeking out value is good. There's always a tension between, on the one hand, living your best urbanist life now, which would maybe mean running up credit card debt so you could afford to live in New York, and on the other hand, being a little more thrifty in a less cosmopolitan but still cool city and socking away money every month so you can, I don't know, quit your job and just make YouTube videos all day. I'm just saying, getting good value isn't theoretical or trivial. It can make a massive difference in your long-term quality of life. Okay, that's my dad lecture for today. Incidentally, St. Paul, also a core city of a large metro area, qualifies for this list too, and it would actually rank just behind Minneapolis, so I'm going to call it number 6.5. Number 5, I want to call this a curveball, but maybe a baseball reference right here is just not in good taste. It's Oakland, California, and you might be thinking, aren't you constantly talking about how outrageously unaffordable Bay Area cities are in your videos? Fair point.
I would love to know how much it costs to rent an apartment there, though. That's how I would rate the cost of living. But here it says median rent SF $3, but I don't know what the SF means. Square foot, $3. $3. So like if you want a 50, I don't know how much square feet is. That's true. Is that expensive, guys?
And Oakland is not inexpensive, but that's all relative in the Bay Area, and Oakland is head and shoulders above anything else in the region when it comes to value. Very good walk score, solid bike rating, which is likely to keep getting better because the city mostly has its priorities straight and keeps reallocating space and building more stuff. Also, Oakland is just extremely well provisioned for transit. It's really the heart of the BART system, almost more so than San Francisco is. And as we do a little walk down Broadway, right through the heart of downtown, you see there's dedicated space for lots of AC transit bus service too. I'm not going to run the time slider on these street views, you can go check it out for yourself, but trust me, all these streets have improved dramatically in the last 5 to 10 years. Number 4, another city that appeared on the list 2 years ago, Cleveland, Ohio. A solid walk rating and solid bike rating. You know, I'm actually a little shocked that this list isn't exclusively composed.
I mean, Cleveland is clearly way more affordable than the last one. Like $2 is a lot.
Of affordable Midwestern cities. Because so many of these core cities predate the automobile, they have connected grids and human-scaled right-of-ways, compared to, say, newer Western cities and Sunbelt cities. And for reasons too complicated to get into, most of these cities are shedding population or have flat growth, so they're going to be extremely affordable. Cities like Cleveland really are the value play if urbanism is your #1 priority, and I think it rises above some other Midwestern cities because it's not nearly as impacted by downtown freeways as cities like Cincinnati, Kansas City, or like Indianapolis. And also much stronger transit provision with a decent amount of urban rail and a solid bus rapid transit line. Cleveland was once the 5th biggest city in the US, and it's built like it. Okay, in a minute I'm going to get to a top 3 that you're simply not going to be able to guess, as well as a couple honorable mentions that are pretty intriguing, and a couple dishonorable mentions that just really left me scratching my head. Usual reminder to click stuff, or don't. I'm pretty apathetic, to be honest. Event in Phoenix, Arizona next week. That's right, I'm going to Phoenix to walk around and film stuff in late June. I never claimed to be smart. Honorable mentions, I'm just going to give you the next two I had on my list. 11, DC. Is it expensive? Yes, but this is kind of a testament to how good DC is. And number 12, on the other end of the spectrum, Detroit, absurdly cheap, and the transit situation is not great. But this is another entry from the Midwest where the bones are there for good walking and biking, and the city is actually making some moves. Dishonorable mention, Carmel, Indiana. I'm getting a bit out of line with this one since Carmel isn't a core city, but I think it's just funny that people for bikes
That looks really pretty.
just loves Carmel, but it has just a god-awful walk score rating. Like, how is that even possible? And don't even get me started about transit. And I'm not saying Cape Coral, Florida is the most overvalued core
I've seen this before as well, the Florida, and I saw the water in between them, but every time I see it, it just baffles me. How?
city in the US, but all the scores are just abysmal. And there's just something deeply satisfying about how the scores line up perfectly with what Cape Coral looks like in like Google Earth. Back to it, number 3, I swear I'm finally going to pronounce this right, Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Walk score rating of 81, which is phenomenal. And full disclosure, I've never been to Lancaster, but every time I talk to someone who's been there, they say it's actually even better than I think it is. By the way, here's a list of all eligible core cities with walk scores of 80 or higher, and the median rent per square foot in the April 2024 Dwellz data. I think this basically speaks for itself. Bike and transit metrics are just okay, but how much do you need to use transit in a city like this? If you live in basically any neighborhood in the city proper, everything is going to be walkable, including the train station, which will come in handy if you occasionally find Lancaster feels a bit confined and you want to get away to a bigger city with more urban amenities. Like, for example, number 2, Philadelphia. I must have like 10 different videos that slice the data 10 different ways and all come to the same conclusion, which is that Philly is ridiculously undervalued. And Philly fans, you might be thinking, dang, bridesmaid again, but think of it this way. If you aggregate the results from this video and the one from 2 years ago where I took a different approach, then you could argue Philly is number 1 overall. Great walk score rating. People for Bikes loves Philly. Their scoring is very stingy and a 57 is actually pretty spectacular. And
It looks really pretty too.
yeah, the transit could be a lot better, but Philly is still really solid. Still in that group of the 5 big metros after New York, and it's kind of a crime that I haven't been to this city since I started the channel. And number 1 should not be a shock. It is St. Louis. Just to be clear, lower scores than Philly across the board, but still pretty good. And this video is all about value. Even lower median rent per square foot than Cleveland, and I don't like to pit cool Midwest cities against each other, but St. Louis is just more walkable with more cohesive neighborhoods, and we'll just walk a couple of them while we're here. In the couple decades before the advent of the personal automobile, St. Louis was the 4th largest city in the US. It had 2 baseball teams, and it had over double the population it has now, which you can definitely feel melancholy about, but the flip side of that is, it has the bones of a much bigger city that once had much bigger ambitions before the arrival of freeways, redlining, and white flight. Transit, not the best, but the urban rail is kind of a light metro situation with complete grade separation in the central part of the city and some at-grade crossings in the outer parts of the network. Truly one of the great American cities, and I encourage everyone to visit, appreciate, and possibly go apartment hunting there because I suspect you're going to be absolutely floored when you see the prices. If you haven't picked up on it by now, I am a fan of anything that economizes any aspect of my life. I like it when things are elegant, save me money, and reduce clutter, and that's where today's sponsor, Henson Shaving, comes in. And
Henson Shaving. Very, very cool. Okay, the rest of it is just the sponsorship, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how much square feet is. So I mean, I imagine they're affordable, but yeah, I don't think I'm a city person, honestly. I thought I was, but am I? I don't know. I think my mentality about cities shifted when I got a huge dog. Now I just want a yard. But yeah, and also what confuses me is some of these have very good walkability but bad bikeability, or very good bikeability and bad walkability, because usually those would go together, you know. But okay, I'll keep this list in mind. Thank you guys for joining me for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. Please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you guys in the next video.